you've got to figure your shit out. It's not my job. But
it's funny though how people last night. So I was debating. I got my period today, so we can discuss. Well, I was kind of hoping I didn't because I'm 40 and.
Yeah, but could you tell that maybe some of the hunger and some of the cravings you were having were totally related to that drop in progesterone, estradiol, and that drop in leptin that occurs whether you've got HCG in your body or not?
Right, absolutely. Yeah, that part it was. But I was debating because I have like 4 syringes left. So I'm like, okay, am I going to get more? Because I know that she said I can buy more if I want, or am I going to stop? And if I looked it up and it says it's pregnancy category X, and I'm like, you have it in here. But my OBGYN lives right down the street from me.
Okay.
So I emailed her and I said, if I take a pregnancy test now, would it be positive anyway? Because of being on HCG, and if I think I'm pregnant, do I need to immediately stop and blah blah? And I had to spend she called me and I had to spend like the first 10 minutes justifying doing HCG.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, but it makes so much sense.
Did you speak the language?
I did. Well, I spoke the good language. I don't know if the language is good or bad, but
just the medical.
Yeah, I just said, she knows, and she's like, well, she's like, it's the whole 500 calorie thing or whatever, and I said, and so yeah, I did, and I said, the main thing, I think if I even, whatever, the main thing for me is this part of it.
I know. That's how I feel too.
That's why this,
and you're doing this as you're saying this. It's the mental part.
And you and I had talked a little bit last time about how, this can sometimes cause problems because people.
Absolutely. All the correction days are forms of purging.
Right.
You have no idea how many people have emailed me to say, Robin, I gained an eating disorder on this protocol from obsessive weighing, and anybody who has had bulimia of any form, wouldn't you agree that correction days, however they are, it's a form of purging.
Yeah, but it's interesting because I don't know. It's interesting because I just keep thinking it's practice. And
it is practice.
In the meantime, I could have done it without doing the weight loss part of it, and eventually in a year I maybe would have lost the weight if I was only eating when I'm hungry and only
Totally.
But I'm like it's nice to get that little quick drop and practice before you head out into the real world.
Well, and that's the strategy. We are implementing a strategy that isn't about losing weight. That's kind of a bonus byproduct. Yeah. So the way you're doing it is unique. It's not about. Honestly, it's no different than any rehab facility. The foundation of every rehab facility is the hunger scale. You knew that coming into this.
Yeah.
You've done it. And it's like, we're going to just basically apply it to this, and it puts you under a microscope because of how little hunger you have. It just exposes all of that emotional desire, justifications, and it really makes you more aware of when you really do justify because you cheat. It's so obviously off protocol. Anyways, it's a no-brainer to me.
Yeah.
So, overall, how do you feel about the progress you've made from a point of view of your eating disorder, your body image disorder, and your desire to binge?
I would say I'm probably like 90% better.
Say that louder.
I'm 90% better. I mean, the day that I did cheat, before last week, my first thought was go to the bathroom. You can get rid of it.
But you knew intelligently now. You can't get rid of the hormonal reaction.
Right.
Do you mind if I tell people what your education is?
No.
Tell them what you do, what your education is.
I have my doctorate in optometry, so I'm an optometrist, and I do eye health exams all day long.
Well, and you've done biology, cell biology, human physiology, and
biochemistry, all of that. Yep.
How did you feel about the hypothesis I wrote in Weight Loss Apocalypse?
It made sense.
Pretty simple.
Yeah, it's pretty simple, and it seems like common sense.
Well, it's the only hypothesis out there right now.
Yeah. So
until we have another one, this is what you get.
I like it.
On a side note.
Yeah.
Just had to bring that one up. So, overall, when you think about this process, do you feel, if done properly, that this has been an effective way for you to work on your shit?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
And you should feel physically better.
I do. I feel a lot better. And I just, even aside from, every minute of thinking about food versus not thinking, well, still thinking about food, but thinking about not eating food or whatever, I feel like I can kind of just relax about it. And so, yeah, I feel better physically, but...
You've given up the scale?
Yeah.
How was that? I mean, that's a huge part of this process. Would you agree that by giving up the weight and the reaction of weight, you have been totally forced to look at the problem?
Yeah,
because if we had been weighing you the whole time, you'd be distracted by that as motive.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, if we'd have been weighing me every time, I wouldn't have drank any water this morning. I wouldn't have eaten my lunch before I came here,
so you're
even
manipulating,
though I was hungry.
Yeah, you're manipulating your body based on the outcome of the scale, which is an eating disorder.
Right, yeah. And now, I have almost 1 liter of water down today, and I ate a little bit of my lunch before I got here because I was hungry.
So you're extending this, and... Are you, in your mind, we talked about this last time, getting ready. You're in your mind visualizing what it's going to be like. You've had opportunities. You make truffles. You're a cook. You are an incredible cook at that. And the ability to visualize in your mind making them and not eating them. And you did it. How did that feel? And what did it take for you to put yourself in that environment, especially something that is made with love and care as a gift, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it felt really good, but it showed me how much practice I really need to do in my head, like visualizing it over and over and over again, not just once or twice.
And then when you were doing it, how did it feel to exist in that environment of what you had?
Edgy, a little
you're walking
nervous.
On
yeah.
Oh, okay, there might be, and it never closed in. You never had that.
No,
I gotta have it.
No,
that's huge.
It didn't. It was all right. Yeah. And then when I gave the truffles away, and I put 3 of them in the freezer for someday, and I was like, okay, there, I did it.
Was it a moment of, wow, that wasn't as hard as?
Yeah.
Okay. The other thing is, you did have some birthday cake.
Yep.
How proud are you that you didn't purge it up and didn't go eat way more than you should have? I mean, that's huge in itself. The fact that if you have that all or nothing eating disorder mentality, if you're breaking the rules, the fact that you have massive guilt, did you have any guilt?
A little, but in my head, I was like, stop it.
Like you understood that you rationalized, but it wasn't the end of the earth.
Mm-mm.
It didn't ruin anything.
Mm-mm.
You didn't compensate for it the next day.
Not at all.
That is huge.
Yeah. Because as I, literally the minute it passed my lips, I was like, okay, darn it. And then I was like, it's one bite. It's one bite out of a whole day, out of a whole week, out of a whole, now 30-some days of doing this. Mm-hmm. It's a bite. And what would I have done last year at this time? Last year at this time, I'd have had 2 more pieces of cake and some, my mother-in-law always has Hershey Kisses and different things laying around in jars, and I would have snuck some of those and gone into the bathroom and eaten them so no one would see, and it felt great to just be one bite. And we went for a bike ride later that day, but it wasn't because of that. We had planned it, so our whole family went for a bike ride, and I didn't, until right now, I didn't even think, oh my gosh, I went on a bike ride because I ate a piece of cake.
No, it had nothing to do with it.
It had nothing. And
so you pretty much got over it very quickly. Didn't do anything. Tell me if that's different.
Oh, yeah. For sure. 100%. That part.
And is what we're doing rocket science? Am I doing something crazy here?
No, it's like hidden in plain sight. Like, it just makes sense.
I know. It's so basic, and obviously you were ready for it.
Yeah.
It's not as easy for everybody because of how addicted they are, and some people just aren't ready, and they literally need to go through it.
Well, and the last 3 years, I have been, struggling and looking and searching and counting points and counting calories and running half marathons and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I just needed to find out if I was hungry.
I know. It's like, but you have to be ready.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I'm really, really excited for you.
I am too.
And the big test is when you're done with the HCG and you transition into second phase, and that really is going to be the big test. But that's when you close up the last 10%.
Yeah.
That's probably the last 10% of your confidence level is, well, what happens when there's no protocol as it concerns portion controlling and sizing of foods. Because right now you're sizing your food. However, we're still using the hunger scale, so if you're hungrier, you're to eat more.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that kind of great to know that you're not restricted to only 500 if you're hungrier?
Oh, yeah.
The fact that you can bump up.
Mm-hmm.
So there's variance there.
Well, and I haven't even really thought about the 500 at all.
Yeah, you're just focusing on hunger.
Yeah. You know, I have saltines in the glove compartment of my car, and I have,
Just in case.
a protein. You know, I have
that certainly makes it easier, though, don't you think? Because this isn't so rigid.
No.
The way I'm teaching it isn't based on measuring.
No.
You have to measure and monitor, but if you're hungrier, you can eat more.
Right, yeah.
We do not want you to starve, so...
No, I'm very happy with it.
Good. Yay.